I'd like to thank you very much for doing this interview for us, and I would like to say to the people who are actually watching this video that maybe they're not aware, this is Pierre Bensusan. He's an exponent of the dad-gad guitar style, and as far as most people who understand that, he is the man. He is the top boy to listen to. He's been responsible for many tunes that people like Windsor have covered, Mike McGoldrick, John McSherry, all these pipers and whistle players, and you're probably playing them without even knowing that you are doing so. How does it feel to actually have a whole area of people who are playing other instruments playing your tunes?
Well, first I think music is not belonging to an instrument. So my instrument is a guitar, but if the music works, then it's it should be then shared by other instruments, and it should work and sound good on other instruments. So I feel great about that. I feel very honored, and at the same time I feel that the music is touching people in different ways, different. Yeah. That the music is touching different type of people, but there is only. For me there is only one music. It's not like genres or styles. There was a time when I was playing a lot of folk music, and a lot of what I would compose at that time was very much sounding in that vein. And I think this is what you're referring to, Windsor has played a tune from me, which I call The Last Pint. And other bands in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland are playing this tune. And it sounds like Irish, but it's not Irish. It has a little twist to it, which I think attracts people to that tune, and it's also very melodic. It's a little bit virtuosic, but maybe less on the flute than it is on the guitar. But it sounds good. It's a happy sort of tune. I play all kind of different things.
Where? I mean, are you from Brittany?
Oh, I'm from Algeria.
From
North Africa.
North Africa?
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting.
I was born in Oran, Algeria, and moved to Paris after the War of Independence in 1962.
Okay.
I grew up in Paris.
So, when I listen to your music, for some reason, dad-gad, Frenchman, or what I thought to be a Frenchman,
Not French.
I thought it would be Brittany, because there is something of the flavour of the French music, the Breton music in your style. So I'm wondering if that had much of an influence.
My style has a lot of a schizophrenic approach. I used to, as I told you, I used to play a bit of folk music, and so I was playing different open tunings, and I choose to play only one, which is called dad-gad, D-A-D-G-A-D, from the bass to treble strings. But now this is a tool. This is no longer, people say dad-gad guitar, but I mean, deep inside of me, I'm playing music on guitar. It's tuned, whatever the tuning, This is my personal internal cooking, the tuning, the guitar. My contract is to fulfill a musical expression with whatever I have in hand. So a guitar, the tuning, it could be a different tuning, it will be the same thing. What is important when you play an instrument is to go away from the very technical, obvious, systematic cliches of the instrument. The things that where your fingers like to be. That's not necessarily much in terms of music rendition. You know what I mean? This is something that you grow up and find out after a while. At the beginning you're very happy that wow, I can play this. Does it sound good? Yeah, it sounds good. And then you listen to it. It does nothing to me. So after a while you start taking a bit of distance to what you're doing and say, okay, I'm the instrumentist, but that's not the point. I want to be a musician. I want to play the music. What is the music? Where is it? And so the music is nowhere on the instrument. The instrument is mute. The instrument is telling you, that's your job, not mine. You tell me, and I'm there for you. And if you tell me right, I'm going to be there for you in a right way. But if you tell me wrong, I will be wrongly there for you. So you have to sort of deepen your imagination, go deep inside of you, find out what you want to play, what is it that you want to express, and learn the technique, because this is not something that you necessarily know how to play. So you have to learn. This is how I learned my technique, really.
I mean, I've listened to quite a few dadgad players, and you seem to be the idol of most of them. And
It's because I'm not playing dadgad, I'm playing guitar.
Yeah, exactly. But it's are you using the dadgad tuning
All the time?
All the time.
Yeah.
So you see, I only learned dadgad sort of about 5-6 years ago, and I'm still a novice. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm finding it very hard now to go back to standard tuning because my fingers are enjoying the actual shapes, because I'm able to actually get more from the neck than in standard tuning. Where did you get the dadgad from? Was it somebody said, here, try this?
I got the dadgad, I think it was in the mid-70s, early 70s. David Graham was playing dadgad a lot, and Rainbow and Yanch a bit. And Stefan Grossman had put out a book of about alternative tuning.
Okay.
So I found out like this. And started to fool around with it, and it was very, very inspirational. But at the beginning, what was inspirational was that your left hand apparently didn't have to work too much. It was mostly sounding already
in the instrument.
It was already sounding musical, and so I think it could be a good way for young players, for children who approach a guitar, to approach a guitar through maybe an alternative tuning, because it could incite them to go further down the road. At the end of the day, I really want to unfade this. Whatever the tuning, you have to learn your fretboard. You cannot just depend on what sounds good when you play open or when you move a few fingers, because otherwise you're going to be stuck and really limited. You're going to play like everybody else. You're going to sound like everybody else, because everybody does a little bit, but at some point, because people don't have the time, because people do other things, have a day job, they want to have an immediate pleasure, which, I would say a flattering pleasure, something that they can really, something which doesn't take too much complications to play. And I can absolutely appreciate that and where those people come from. For me, I come from the point of view of a full-time musician, so I cannot let this happen to me. I have to go all the way. So I went all the way. When I played a lot of alternative tunings, I found out that I knew nothing about the neck. I was just reacting in terms of what I learned by heart, memories of fingerings, which sounds right. But if I wanted to start improvising and be more spontaneous, go with the music, have a more of a harmony point of view, I had to study, So I did study dadgad the same way academic players study the standard tuning, jazz musicians study their fretboard. And I did study dadgad exactly the same way. Went through the modes, the chords. So that's why now dadgad is a tool for me.
Just a tool.
I'm trying to get the most of both, to take advantage of the best of both worlds. One world is the beautiful open tuning, ringing notes, low D, which is one step lower than the E. It's very very sensitive, very effective. And at the same time, when you play this tuning like any other, like the standard tuning, you start playing chords with no open strings, it still sounds different, because of the different sympathy of the strings combined together, and that's also still very inspirational to me.
Yes, I've noticed that with myself. I've found with standard tuning that I kind of, after 25-30 years of using it, I know I hadn't explored all of it, but I was, I think, bored with the shapes. And when I came to dadgad, I could find the same chords, but it interested my brain more to hold the neck in a different way. I feel like I've started another instrument, even though I have all the knowledge brought forward from the...
whatever helped the drive to be there. And
So when you're writing a tune, do you feel the melody in your head first and you just work it out in your head and you come to the guitar, or is it usually something you may just make a mistake and there's...
Yeah, that, of course, mistakes are never quite mistakes until you decide they're mistakes, and then it sounds really like a mistake. But I would say coincidence, fooling around, going from a technical exercise, going into something which is more musical, and then recording it, writing it, just to not lose it, to remember it and develop it further. Or something I completely imagine. And I prefer that, because it has nothing to do with what I play, what I know how to play. It's more like really what I hear, and it has nothing to do with guitar talk.
Yeah.
It has to do with an expression, an emotion, something which is abstract but still which will have a form. And then I happen to have a guitar, so I make it work on the guitar, but as I said, very often it's inspired by something else. I'm imagining a choir or a philharmonic orchestra things. So as soon as I hear voices and counterpoint, I'm trying to make it work on the guitar and look at my guitar like a little orchestra and look at it from the two different in three dimensions. If you see.
Segovia used to say the same thing.
Huh?
Segovia used to say the same thing.
Well, this is an orchestra. You can play the bass, you can play the chords, you can play the melodies, you can make those three elements to interact, and everything become melodic. Even the counterpoint become a melody. And I use I use a lot of the classical way of composing. Like any melody can be twisted in different ways to extend the melody, to give other ideas, and then going into different modulations, modes, minor, major, augmented, diminished, and all those things make it. It's not like I constantly go through all this, but sometimes I do, and I find other ideas, and then the trick is to make a choice. That's a difficult part. Is like, okay, now let's.
I notice you're quite committed to teaching. You've got books and videos. You do classes as well.
Teaching is maybe a little bit too much. I'm a facilitator.
Okay, facilitating.
I like
facilitating.
that.
You're bringing people together. You're playing. You're listening to them. Basically, guiding them into maybe opening up their playing.
Exactly.
Or,
Exactly. Yeah.
Rather than teaching them mechanics.
I'm not teaching them to play like me.
No.
But I'm with them, trying to look where the music is when they play, or what they could look for when they play. And when the music is there, we see that together. And when the music is no longer there, then I want them to know that the music is no longer there. And so we understand why did the music run away. How, and very often it's a combination of different factors. One is lack of technique, but very often it's more first a lack of listening deeply to oneself playing, because I think that you can find all the answers when you listen carefully, and a lot of people do not listen carefully, and so the number one is to listen. A lot of other problems
I think
fade away.
I'm hoping these whistle players that are listening to this are actually taking some of this on board, because I certainly am.
It's something which has to do with us being musicians. We are self-concerned by us. We are self-concerned by the impression we give. We are self-concerned of the difficulty that we are approaching, and it's impressive. We are very over-impressed sometimes. We are also aware that our technique is not necessary together. So when we play, we almost already have a sort of enthusiasm which is a bit split by all those other considerations. Fair enough, but at the end of the day, when you play, the only thing you should do is listen first. And so if the technique is not following, then take the tempo down in order for your technique to be harmonious with the music, so that at least you can give yourself a lot of pleasure. This pleasure is going to help you to fulfill, to go further down the road, because this is a drive that we need to water all the time. Our drive, our pleasure, our love for playing, and not our discouragement. So I think when the drive is watered and fulfilled, we go through difficulty, we want to pursue, we want to win, and that's it. It's a little victory every day.
Are there things now that you still want to achieve?
Are you kidding? Of course, I'm only 47, and I go, yeah. I need to be more musical. I would like to be playing whatever I hear on the spot. to play better, have a better technique. The more I go, the more I'm aware that of the very little I know. You know.
So it's still a learning curve after all these years.
It will always be. But it's also learning. But it's not only about learning. It's also about fulfilling a moment, being alive as the minutes are passing by, and not only having a sort of projection in the future. I need to learn. I need to do this. You know, at some point you have to take whatever you have at hand and do something with it and have fun. Because if it's not about having fun and having pleasure, what's the point? You know,
absolutely.
What's the point? So I know I'm not there, but sometimes I am, and I know exactly when I'm there.
When it happens,
I know when it happens. I know, and so because I have been there, I sort of try to look for the way again, which is going to lead me there. I want to be there as much
all
as
the
possible.
Time. You play with other people at all? Do you ever find yourself?
Yeah. In fact, I play with a great flute player. His name is Didier Malherbe, which is he's a founder member of Gong.
Oh, yeah.
And we toured together. We've been playing in England quite a lot. We've been recording a live record in Paris together. He played in my band when I had a sort of ensemble in France in the late 80s and early 90s. I played duets, trios with keyboardist, percussionist. I did last year. I produced a live record with 3 other guitar players called the International Guitar Night. It was done in the United States. 10 concerts taped, and we made a selection of what to put on the record. So we have solos, duets, and a final quartet. I like to play with other people, of course, but I'm trying to also, when I play alone, I'm trying to have the guitar to be self-sufficient, and I sing as well, so it's a different color. I like to sing lyrics, I like to use the voice as an instrument as well, something which is going to allow me to be there on the spot, you know, with the vocal.
Yeah.
But I really write for solo guitar. I write or play. I try to have a solo guitar to suggest that the music is there. And of course it could be there many different ways.
Lovely. Well, that will do me fine. Thanks very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.